A birthday card for Jack without the celebration. His loved ones say they wish they were having cake instead of a vigil.
It's Jack's 5th birthday. It's something that he should be here to celebrate in person. We shouldn't be where we are. So it's very important that we had the time to do this.
This is my birthday promise to Jack. Every step is a prayer whispered to the wind, a hope that a search may help our hearts to mend. We hold steadfast the pictures of Lily and Jack, seeking answers to bringing them back.
About 40 people gathered outside the Stellarton RCMP detachment to hear poems, speeches, and shed tears for the two young children, all while holding on to hope.
Both of them deserve better. We deserve answers. They need to be brought back home safe. It's been 6 months too long.
This case has truly affected many, as is demonstrated here this evening. I can assure you that we have not wavered in our commitment to determine what has happened to Lily and Jack. Our major crime investigators are working every day to determine the circumstances of their disappearance.
It marked the first time since May loved ones from all sides of the family came together. Tensions have been high since the children's mother, Malaya Brooks Murray, left her boyfriend, Daniel Martel, at the search scene the day after Jack and Lily disappeared.
I didn't miss the first vigil, and I would definitely not miss this one. Definitely not on Jack's birthday. It's an important date for everybody over the last 6 months, and I wouldn't miss this for the world.
Brooks Murray did not attend the vigil. Her family says she quietly marked Jack's birthday with her mother, and gifts from the vigil would be delivered to her. The children's paternal grandmother, Belinda Gray, says she appreciates the outpouring of support.
People have beautiful hearts, and I know if we give them a chance, everybody can help. Everybody can help, and everybody wants to help. So I think this is beautiful.
Angela McIver, CBC News, Stellarton.
They came with candles instead of cake. A small crowd gathered under a low autumn sky to mark what should have been a child's 5th birthday, and the air was full of the kind of grief that won't let go. Hit subscribe and turn on the bell so you get first-hand updates as the community presses for answers and investigators continue their painstaking work into the disappearance of Lily and Jack. Jack's 5th birthday, meant for balloons and simple laughter, was transformed into a vigil, a deliberate, aching public act to hold two missing children close in a way a party never could. What began as an intimate family milestone became, instead, a communal moment of remembrance and resolve. Roughly 40 people stood outside the Stellarton RCMP detachment to speak their sorrow and renew a shared demand for answers. For many present, a vigil was the only humane alternative to silence. Instead of singing "Happy Birthday," they recited poems, shared memories, and pledged a birthday promise, a quiet ritual in which every step they take from that day forward would be a whispered prayer, a fresh breath of hope that the two siblings would be found and brought home. That promise, small and solemn, became the thread tying together distraught parents, concerned neighbors, friends, and strangers who have been watching the case and waiting for any sign that these children might be recovered. A vigil is more than symbolism. It is a public insistence that a case not be allowed to fade into the background of everyday life. People who attended spoke of wanting cake and candles instead of lanterns and speeches. That simple desire captured the wrenching normalcy that has been stolen. Many who spoke at the gathering described the birthday as a measure of collective responsibility. If the community will not mark the day, they feared the children's names could neuter into a news item rather than remain alive in memory. The format of the event reflected that urgency. Attendees took turns reading poems and short remembrances. Some delivered pointed, anguished remarks imploring authorities to continue searches. Others wept openly, their raw grief a reminder that these missing children are more than a case number. Across every face, there was the same mixture of exhaustion and determination, exhausted from months of unanswered questions, determined to keep public attention focused on the search for Lily and Jack. Organizers framed the vigil as both a commemoration and a strategy. The birthday promise is intended as a moral contract for the community that people will keep looking, questioning, and supporting investigative work until the children are found. In practice, that means sustained public pressure on law enforcement, continued solicitation of tips, and coordinated volunteer searches when investigators and safety protocols allow. For families in these situations, public attention is double-edged. It keeps the case alive and can generate tips, yet it can also bring harmful speculation and intrusive commentary. The vigil organizers were mindful of this tension. Their stated goal was careful: keep the spotlight on the children, not on rumor, sustain public interest without encouraging unverified claims that might undermine the investigation. That balance between determination and restraint is a central challenge for any small community navigating a high-profile disappearance. The gathering also made visible the emotional toll that this crisis has taken on extended families and neighbors. People who spoke described the cumulative weight of months without resolution, birthdays that were skipped, holidays that felt hollow, and the erosion of a familiar sense of safety in a tight-knit rural area. For a small child in a small town, being remembered with a vigil is a kind of protection that words alone cannot provide. Families lit candles and left small toys at the base of a makeshift memorial. The sight of these offerings, tiny shoes, a worn stuffed animal, a hand-drawn card, crystallized the human cost behind the headlines. 2 missing children whose absence creates a series of impossible absences for relatives who do not know whether to hope or to prepare for the worst. About 40 people attended the event outside the Stellarton detachment, a number that testifies to both community reach and quiet fatigue. For some, 40 represented a significant show of support. For others, it felt small given the larger national attention the case has received at different moments. Still, the physical presence of people matters in police-led cases. Vigils keep pressure on institutions while signaling to potential witnesses that a community remains vigilant. It is worth recognizing how these dynamics can impact the investigation. Police benefit from public interest when it produces credible tips, preserved footage, or new witness recollections. But constant public commentary can also lead to an overload of unsubstantiated leads that drain investigative resources. Vigil organizers expressed awareness of that trade-off and urged attendees to channel their grief into constructive action, preserve any footage, write down recollections with precise times, and report directly to investigators rather than amplifying theories on social media. One of the more painful lines in the day's proceedings concerned absent faces. The children's mother, Malaya Brooks Murray, did not attend the vigil. Her absence was noted publicly and privately by several relatives and community members, some deeply hurt, others simply puzzled. Family dynamics have been strained throughout this case, and the mother's absence heightened a sense of fracture. Those closest to the children said they had marked the day privately. Family members chose to grieve in a contained way, shielded from the public eye. The paternal grandmother and other relatives did attend, holding photos and speaking to the assembled crowd about their longing for answers. For them, the vigil offered a way to publicize pain they feel too raw to keep private and to remind investigators and the public that time presses forward without delivering closure. That family tensions and the public visibility of those tensions complicate the search for truth. Grief is a pressure that can prod people to speak or to retreat. It can prompt some to repeat unverified allegations or to circulate suspicious accounts online. Investigators must sift through a mix of sincere recollection and rumor to find factual leads. For those who have attended vigils or scrolled through social feeds about the case, it is worth remembering that private grief does not equate to culpability. People respond to trauma in different ways. Some become public advocates, others withdraw, and all of them deserve compassion even as investigators test every lead. The visible absence of a mother at a public vigil is not evidence itself. It is a human moment that reflects the complexity and private pain surrounding such tragedies. Beyond familial dynamics, the vigil was also a demonstration of community solidarity. Even as people splinter over theories and public disputes, the vigil's message was steady. These children are missing, they are loved, and the search must continue. Local clergy, community organizers, and volunteer search coordinators spoke about the practical significance of keeping a case in the public eye. Vigils produce moments where community energy can be harnessed, where volunteers can be recruited, where someone with a dashcam clip might suddenly recall a time, or where a previously silent witness might be moved to come forward. Those pragmatic outcomes underpin the emotional ones. In short, a vigil does not just mourn. It keeps operational pressure on the system and a kind of moral surveillance that communities use when formal institutions move slowly. Equally important was what the vigil did not do. Organizers resisted turning the event into a forum for accusation. There were no public confrontations, no demand for names on the spot, and no attempt to broadcast speculation. That restraint was meaningful. In many high-profile disappearance cases, public gatherings can devolve into rumor mills where unverified claims acquire viral momentum. The vigil leaders deliberately avoided that path, stressing that their grief should not be weaponized. Instead, the meeting was intended to be a solemn appeal to anyone with information. If you know anything, preserve evidence and contact the RCMP. That pragmatic plea, the call to protect the integrity of evidence and pass it to investigators, is the single most useful thing that any member of the public can do in the wake of such events. What the vigil made painfully obvious is that 6 months after the disappearance, the emotional toll on families is ongoing. Anniversaries and birthdays are benchmarks that bring back the stark reality of loss and uncertainty. For the surrounding community, the event reinforced a morbid knot of feelings: anger that answers have not arrived, fatigue with speculative coverage, and an abiding, communal hope that the next piece of information, a preserved camera clip, a phone ping, or a remembered detail, will finally break open the story and return the children home. The presence of families at the vigil, quietly handing out flyers and speaking with investigators and volunteers in low voices, signaled a dual desire: to keep public pressure steady and to protect the dignity of the missing children. From an investigative perspective, the vigil accomplishes a few things. It signals to the RCMP and to provincial authorities that the community remains invested and will continue to monitor progress. It can also re-energize volunteers to revisit areas permitted by police and to supply any newly discovered footage or memories. And it channels public grief into a ritualized form that can help maintain orderly, credible tip flow rather than viral speculation. For police, the presence of a community vigil can be helpful because it increases the chance that someone with useful information will come forward, and it keeps the case in the news in a way that reinforces procedural urgency without compromising investigatory secrecy. In closing, Jack's 5th birthday was a powerful, heartbreaking moment that revealed the depth of feeling and the determination of a community that refuses to let 2 children vanish into silence. The vigil was a plea for answers, for thorough investigation, and for the safe return of Lily and Jack. It was also a ritual of communal memory, a way for people to gather under shared sorrow and to promise that these children will not be forgotten. The absence of their mother at the public event, the private grief of family members, and the persistent pain of relatives all underscore the complex human landscape that investigations must navigate. Hold space for the family and insist on 2 parallel truths: rigor in the investigative process and compassion for the people who live with this pain every day. Keep preserved footage, record precise observations, and pass any credible leads directly to investigators rather than amplifying unverified theories. We will continue to follow verified developments and bring you clear, careful updates as they are confirmed. For now, let the memory of Jack's 5th birthday be both a reminder of what's at stake and a renewed call for every possible effort to bring these children home.